Hey YouTube! So we've got a couple of really interesting sounding bass patches, and I want to spend this lesson just playing around with those. And I'll be using the keyboard instead of the Chaos pad for this, but the principle is the same, where you just kind of play around and find notes that you like. Exactly the same way we were doing it on the Chaos pad, where we're just dragging our finger around. So just playing around until I hear something I like. I'm really liking this. It sounds really good with this patch, so playing with it a little bit more, hearing how it sounds. And a little trick for a good sort of a bass groove is to throw in some excitement, jump up an octave. So here I'm playing on this D, and then I'm going to kind of do an accent note by going up to the next D. And then throwing in some little minor, two-key variation here. Alright, I really like that. You'll notice that I'm playing the next two notes down. I'm descending from the F, E, and that's creating kind of a dark sound, right? When you descend notes, you get this sort of morose or dark sounding sound. But if you play the notes ascending, it's a little bit brighter. So whatever mood you're in, you can go up or down to try to capture that mood. I just like dark music, so I'm going to go with that. And once you have a little pattern that you like, you can throw that into the sequencer. But this patch is what Korg would consider to be a simple patch, as it's not making use of any of our parameter or voltage controls in the sequencer. We'll get into that next lesson. But since this is a simple patch, we can throw this in on the drums, and I will save it. This was the one we did in ECMP12. And going into the drums now, I can load this up with the sound edit and browse to my save. And you hear that it's going, repeatedly hitting that C note there. And that's an unfortunate part of working in the, wow, that is really annoying. So let us escape this. All right, it is no longer doing that. That reminds me, though, we should probably kill the effects that are going to be on this, because it kind of defaults to throwing effects on all the drums, and we do not need a mountain of reverb on this. As you see, it's full 100% wet on sending it to the master effect, but now the effect light is off, so it's not going to do that anymore. Let me mute that so we don't hear it. I go into the designer here. You'll notice we've lost the hold here, the release here, and the release here on these envelopes. And that doesn't really matter for us because we weren't using this hold. We were only slightly using this release, and I don't think we were using this release at all. So the patch should pretty much sound the same for us. Let me go and unmute that, and we will start to throw in a sequence using the sequence edit button. And I was playing this D. So you could do a record, but since there's no count in on when it starts to record, it immediately starts to play through the pattern as soon as you hit the record button. I find that to be just kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm not going to do that. Let me clear this out and just start twiddling this top knob for pitch down to our D3, and then hitting this on to make sure that it's actually going to sound the gate, and the gate is on one shot. And let me play that for you. You hear how that one shot is playing across the whole bar. If you bring this down to legato, it's just going to hit it for that once. But legato is really, really useful for playing around with our envelope. We get similar behavior with it on 100%, and at 75 it just gets quieter. And at 25 we can barely hear that. So let me throw in another note here. And you hear how it immediately pops into that other note. It was playing that one note here all the way across the bar, but now it's stopping it dead and going through its whole cycle again on the new note. I tune this down to D3. making sure that this is on one shot. Alright, that's already on D3, and let's do one more. And now let's jump up to our D4. You see this is already on D3, so I can do a shortcut by putting the octave up one. And this is kind of working like the accent was in Technobox 2, although in that it was mostly just pushing up the volume. In this case, we're adding a little like punch to it. And I'm going to throw in now a F to do the... So let's throw in an F3, and now the E, and making sure that's also on one shot. And I'm liking how that sounds, so let's use this as the base of our bass and fatten it up by doubling up our bass. And I'm going to do that by replacing the zapping sound with one of the patches we made in ECMP 11. I'm trying to pick something that sounds different enough from this. So that kind of sounds different, but that really sounds different, so I'm going to use that. And now I'm going to do the same pattern here. And let's hear how that sounded. So that's the first one we had. This is the new one we have. And that's them together. That's layering up our bass. So we're getting this really, really wide sort of sound here. But I don't like how that accent note is sounding on our new one, so I'm going to get rid of that. And you can really tweak this by dropping out different portions of it just by hitting these little tabs here. I'm liking that. And I can just throw in some drums. Oops. And now we've got our whole groove section.